Hey guys, Josh Cabazori here. Just want to talk a little bit about a question I get asked quite a lot. I got a question asked quite a bit when I came back from Belarus now from World Champs. And this question is quite common in all sporting codes that I find myself in quite often, and that's what are we missing, or why aren't we as great as other countries, or why aren't we producing as many medalists? And what are they doing? Kind of like there's a secret missing, or something is missing that we're not doing. And from my personal experience, and that's at multiple different sporting code world championships and multiple different levels. So from a provincial level, an amateur level, to an elite, the highest level you possibly can go. There isn't much different. Exposure is one of them. So obviously a lot of other nations are exposed to these sports and these sort of things at an earlier age where we're not. We've a lot of people find their passions in these sports a lot later on in life, outside of the schooling and development stages when they should be ideally like learning these sports or being exposed to these sports, talent ID, etc., etc. But having said that, a lot of the times people also think that there's secrets that make these people better. Whereas South Africans in all sporting codes, majority, and it's even been represented now in 100 meters, we have what it takes. We have what it takes to produce world champions. We've produced world champions. I've been blessed to produce a world champion. It just comes down to the fact of identifying, knowing what you want, going for what you want, and then also being honest. Now, when I brush up on honesty now, what I'm talking about is that a lot of athletes don't know what they want. And that sounds like, I don't know, maybe non-fitting for anything, because they're an athlete, they know what they want, but a lot of athletes don't know what they want. Now, I say that because a lot of athletes will say they want something, but it's merely either the idea of it, or, the FOMO, or it's hot topic, it's popular at the time, but they don't quite know what they want. They just kind of know they want to be there or be there about. Now, the only problem with this is things will get blurred when there's that line of elitist. So having said that, it means when you've done being competitive at a provincial or national level and you then want to step into a world level, there's quite a change there. Doesn't mean you can't go from a national level to an elite level. It just means that you got to understand that you now, from being at the top of one chart, you now immediately enter at the bottom of another, regardless of how good you are. You might just go in at the top, but you're still starting at the bottom because it's your first time being at a world or at an international level. So that's kind of like for everyone. The problem is when an athlete doesn't know what they want, this will throw off the ideas of what they've been training for, or what they've been doing, or what they think they're good for, or just in general what their purpose is. So that's not really a problem, because it's quite common. It's human error or human flaw not to know what you want. Hence why everyone just chases so many things, whether they be meaningless or not. That's not really the conversation at hand now, but it's kind of human to not always know what you want. But as an athlete, your goal and your first goal is to identify what do you want. You can't actually leave that up to a coach. He can decide what's best for you regarding performance, or not to perform, but only you know what you want as an athlete. So very important, first of all, my advice to athletes is to go, what do you want? What is you looking for? Now, you have to be very honest with that, and that has to have a timeline behind it. You have to be able to go, right, I want to try powerlifting. Let's use powerlifting as an example. I want to do powerlifting. I want to see what it's like. Cool. You train for it. You do your first competition. It goes well. Correct. This then sets you up for nationals. Go to nationals and you come stone lost. Okay, and that's okay. That's fine. That's your first year. One under the belt. You make notes. Okay. First SAS came last. Great. Now you got to get a goal from that, and your goal could be, I want to improve on my total X, Y, and Z. And I'd like to come top 5 at next year's nationals. Okay. What also immediately happens here is that those developing lifters immediately see other lifters going to worlds. They then immediately now forget that they want to just go top 5 next year. They now suddenly go, I want to go to worlds. Okay. Now that's not wrong to think that way, and it's not wrong to want that, and that desire is not unnatural or not non-athletic, or it doesn't have its place. It definitely has its place. But you immediately have now shifted the goalpost. And the problem with this is any gain you make from now, if it doesn't mean you qualify for worlds, you've disregarded it. It has no value. You don't care about it, and you think you're now not doing well. Okay. Now this also sets yourself up for failure. majority of the time. So a lot of the times you have to stick to your goal, regardless of what that goal is. You have to stick to it, because the plan is to stick to the plan. And I'm quoting Dan John on that one, and that really works. Is you have to have a plan. Now, if that plan is literally top 5 at essays, if you obviously excel past and you win essays and you qualify for it, that's great. But you at least ticked off your box of top 5. Whereas a lot of people miss that completely, and they're not willing to go back and go, hey, I did what I said I was going to do, and I have a plan. And this goes back down to the simple fact of, what does an athlete want? You don't have to want to go to world championships. You don't have to want to be a world champion. However, do not piss on the fact that so many people want to be world champions and they're willing to do what it takes to be a world champion. If you're not willing to do what it takes to be a world champion, regardless of your sport, don't make that everyone else's problem. And why I say that is because you might be watering down what it takes to be a world champion or a world level competitor. You're now watering that down by thinking you just deserve to be there because now you want it. It doesn't work that way in sport. And it's very, very important to remember that in sport, and this is what's beautiful about sport, is, and you know, there will always be the odd politics here and there, but majority of the time you earn your way there. Yes, funding and self-funding is a big factor, so those that can fund can go, sometimes those that can't fund can't go. But majority of the time, you still have to show up, perform, earn a qualifying standard or qualifying distance, qualifying time, beat X person, beat Y person, whatever it may take, but you still have to meet a certain requirement to still go there, so therefore you have to earn your way there. This is very, very important for people, and it's very important to not think that now you on the same level, you can just disregard that level. So very, very important just for athletes to remember that. What do you want? If you want to be a world champion, then you got to know everything it takes to be a world champion, and it might take you 10, 15, 20 years. Okay? At the end of the day, it is possible. You can be a world champion. There's not a motivational talk, there's not a motivational speech, but you can be. However, you have to be so realistic with the fact that you can fail, and you can fail for 5 years, you can fail for 8 years. You can maybe bomb out at every competition. You may never progress your deadlift for the next 5 years. But it can still be possible if you're sticking to your plans and the people around you to work towards that world championship, however long it takes. You might only be master 3 by the time you get there, right? But you're still stuck to your goal, and that was to be a world champion. Then it's possible. But a lot of people don't quite know that. And it's okay to also segregate and change your goals. You can be like, cool, I want to be just a provincial champion. Now, yes, and on paper and on Instagram and on Facebook, it doesn't sound amazing to be a Gauteng champion if, you know, everyone else is being national champs and world record holder this and this person's that. It's not going to sound amazing. Of course it's not. But it's real to you and it's important to you, and that's what matters, because then you're honest. Okay? So it's very, very important to be honest about what you want to yourself. Then to your coach, to your friends, to your Instagram, to your followers, all that business. That's fine. But you got to know what you want first and what that's willing to take. And not assuming that A, everyone must want the same goal, or B, that your goal is better or worse than anyone else's, because that's then once again irrelevant. It doesn't really matter. You can't, we could sit all day comparing world champions from every different sporting code, and it's just going to end up in an argument and a fight, because, we'll believe this person's better than that person. That's not really the point. That's not what you're on earth here for. Okay, you're here to be the best you can be. So, time and knowing what you want are two big factors on what separates us. Okay, because when you go to Worlds, those are people, and no matter the sport, they know what they want. They know exactly what they want, and that is to be there. On that platform, at that championship, they want to be there. They don't want to be anywhere else, they want to be right there. So that's already what puts them ahead of everyone, because they want to be there not once, not twice, they want to be there every year. Now, South Africans have a tendency to go to go to nationals or go to Worlds, hunky-dory, okay, cool, it might be tough financially, sponsorships, etc., and then you don't see them there for another 2 or 3 years, or maybe ever, okay, because it's a novelty, it's great for a nice album on Facebook, and then they're done, okay. Now, the problem with that is that we keep sending so many athletes all the time in the Worlds, but we don't have reoccurring athletes on a higher number. So we do have reoccurring athletes going, but we don't have that many in the same amounts going every year that are the same athletes who are carrying the same experience every year. So every year they're going and gaining a little bit more, a notch in the belt, making less and less mistakes at a higher level. No, we send guys and then they go there and they lift, and however they do, and they might not ever go back. And the problem with that is that that's not going to produce us medals. So the biggest thing is we need to send people that if you plan on going to a Worlds, ideally, it shouldn't be a bucket list ever. It just shouldn't. That's an insult to anyone that wants to be a world champion, because they're not there for bucket lists. They're there to dedicate their life. Okay, for them, that's their purpose. So you should be going with the intent of, I want to go and I want to do as well as I can do and as great as I can do on the day, because remember, on the day is on the day. And then have the plan to go back the following year, regardless of what happens. You need to do whatever it takes to make sure you can be there in the next year and the next year, and to keep that up. And that's the only way I truly believe we'll continuously produce the same amount, and if not better, athletes than there are currently now in the rest of the world. And no, it has nothing to do with drugs and special exercises and etc. People want to hop on about, because it's so easy to find an excuse. We produce as great athletes as anyone else in the world. The difference is that A, we have a smaller pool, so we don't have as many lifters coming through as other countries. We have a lot growing, we don't have as many as the others. And B, we also just so quick to harp on an excuse or not go back to the following year or hate or whatever the reasons may be. I mean, injuries aside and finances aside, you should be doing whatever it takes to make sure you keep going back to awards time after time, year after year, and proving yourself to get to the highest level you can get. And it might not be a world champion, and you might spend 10 years of your life trying to do it, and a lot of money and a lot of sacrifice. But you can live with yourself more than anyone else, because you've now dedicated all that time, all that money, all that effort to being as great as you humanly can be. So that falls back again under what you want as an athlete. Okay, and it's so important to understand that and to sit to yourself, look in the mirror, whatever you want to do, write in Dear Diary, what do I want? And it'll help your training. It'll help your training a lot. But don't look for it in other people. Look for it in yourself. So what that means is, don't look for what others want as what you want. So suddenly when everyone now changes topic, and then now they all want to do a little bit of, use an example, weightlifting training. And everyone's like, but if your goal is to win essays next year in powerlifting, you don't have that luxury to just suddenly change and go do some weightlifting for a bit, because that's not specific. Okay, so the next thing is specificity. People aren't specific to their goals. And that drives me absolutely crazy, because it's not entertaining. Okay, you're not going to have fun. It's not always going to be party and roses. Your Instagram photos are going to look boring after a while. It's all just not going to be fun. But it's specific to your goal, and you need to stay true to that goal. So put the time in, be specific, know what you want, and get after it. It's very, very simple. But at the end of the day, I don't think people, and especially South Africans, need to start thinking that there's secrets out there that we're missing. We're not. Due to the internet and the fact that we've produced world champions, there's no reason to show now we have what it takes. So that's just my 2 cents on the matter. We always sadly seem to have that attitude of, why is everyone better than us? Instead of realizing that we have all the talents it takes, we have the skills, we have the resources here. Yes, we don't have as much as we'd like, and we could always do with more, but what sport wouldn't? You know what I mean? We could always want more, but we got to want more from ourselves first before we can expect others to just give to us. So before we can ask for more money, more endorsements, more backing, etc., we got to produce more medals. And that's just as simple as it gets, because you can't just sit around with your hands out hoping that someone's going to just donate. It's not going to happen. So I really think we have what it takes to produce medals. I hope to see more coaches and more athletes produce more medals. It gets me excited. I just love it. I love seeing it, because South Africans are, without a doubt, the most talented athletes in the world. And I've been blessed to travel enough to actually see that firsthand, no matter the sporting code. The difference is that we don't back ourselves enough, and we don't push enough of our athletes to compete, and compete continuously. It's such a big factor that no one stresses enough, that you got to compete, and compete frequently at the highest level you can do. So that's just my 2 cents. Use it, don't use it. Comment below if you think I should talk about anything else or anything else in discussion you'd like. Just let me know.